Hey everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about which teams from the VCT EMEA League will make it to Masters Tokyo. It's a really tough league with a lot of really talented teams, so it's some really steep competition for everybody to make it A, to playoffs, and B, to Masters Tokyo. So we're going to go through the standings and see who we think is going to be the dominant teams coming out of this league. First off, we're talking about Fnatic, who are 4-0 right now, winning 8 maps and losing 1. They have won 110 rounds and lost 68 for a round differential of plus 42. They are 2-0 in their last 2 games, and they've looked fantastic. They really haven't been weak at all throughout this entire league so far. Winning lock-in, finally getting that tournament win was super important for that team, and now they're playing with the confidence that they need. This team very well could go back-to-back. I would be very shocked if they don't make Masters Tokyo. I would probably slot them in the first spot. But crazier things have happened, and as we've established, they have some really steep competition, such as Nanas Vincer. Nanas Vincer, being the FPX roster from last year, just replacing CNED with Artis, have been performing very well. They are currently 4-1, only losing to Koi, surprisingly, a team that is very well below the playoff line right now, so that's pretty shocking, and that's the only win for Koi currently. But at any rate, they're still number 2. They've won 8 maps, they've lost 4, they've won 155 rounds and lost 124 for a round differential of 31. And again, a good team looking fantastic, really only having that one stumble loss against Koi, but they've won their last 4 and they've looked really good, and they've looked like the top team from last year just carried on into this year. They are 2-0 in their last 2 games, and they've been dominant, and it's hard to see them not placing second at the end of the regular season. But right on their tails, in third place, we have Team Liquid. Currently 4-2 with the map record of 9-6, 170 rounds won to 143 rounds lost for a round differential of plus 27. Team Liquid really built a good roster here. They have a bunch of players that have had success in the past, but some definitely wanting to prove themselves, such as EMP and Soulcast from the previous Liquid roster, which never really reached the heights that we thought that they could. Adding Nats and Redgar from Gambit has worked out so far, and they've been good. This is a team that has underachieved in the past, but this is a new roster. It's a new beginning for them, a new team, new vibes, so hopefully they can find the success that their old roster couldn't. Next up, sitting in 4th place, we have VCT Esports. Is that how you say it? I don't know. I really need to learn a lot of these pronunciations, but I refuse to. Anyways, VCT are sitting in 4th place with a record of 3-2, with a map record of 7-4, 119 rounds won to 104 rounds lost for plus 15 round differential. All their players coming out of Turkey, they are representing that country and are trying to represent them as good as they can, and they're doing a pretty good job so far, having some solid performances in this EMEA league so far. The only caveat with their current record is that they haven't really faced the big boys of this league yet. They have faced Team Liquid, but they did lose that match. Their next match is Fnatic, and then they have Carmine Corp, who aren't very good, but then they have Navi and then BBL, who have looked surprisingly not as bad as we may have thought they were. So sitting in 4th, they could maybe push themselves for a top 3 finish in the playoffs, but it's a tough hill for them. Next up in 5th, we have Giants Gaming. Current record is 3-3, maps 8-6, rounds 163 to 147, plus 16 round differential. Same kind of situation as VCT. They have been performing well, but not super well. They haven't faced a ton of super tough opponents, and when they have lost. So far, they've lost to Fnatic, Navi, and Team Liquid, so all 3 of the top teams, basically. So if they're going to make it, they're going to have to figure out a way to beat those top teams so that they can be considered one of the top teams. But currently, with an even record, it's looking dicey for them if they even stay in their 5th place spot. So they're going to have to rack up some wins here to be able to do it. In their last 2 games, they've gone 1-1, winning against VCT and losing against Team Liquid. So maybe one of these teams in VCT or Giants surprises us. They're teams that I didn't really expect much out of going into this league, but they've looked okay. They can certainly make a push, but I don't know. Next up, a team that has struggled and probably doesn't want to be in the place that they're currently in, Team Vitality. Current record is 3-2, maps are 6-5, that's why they're below Giants Gaming, even though they have 1 less loss. Rounds are 113 to 111 for plus 2 round differential. In the last 2, they are 1-1, winning it against Carmine Corp, pretty easy win, but then they lost against BBL, which should have been an easy win, a team that has not looked very good so far, but surprised a lot of people, I would say at the very least. Vitality really not looking fantastic, and they have what should be a pretty decent roster. They have Bone Cold, they have Twistin, they have Sender. These are players that have had some success in the past, and I think they really want more out of this roster. And their schedule, at least for the next two, is not getting easier. They face Na'Vi next, and then they face Fnatic, so two of the top two teams. So they need to win at least one of those, or at the very least lose those, and then hopefully win their last two. But it will put them in a hole that will probably sink them. So a team that I think most people would have picked to at the very least make playoffs, not Tokyo, but at least to make playoffs, haven't been what they wanted to be, haven't been what their fans wanted them to be. Vitality being an esports organization that has had success in other games. So really hoping for a lot more from this Vitality team, and I wish them the best of luck. Then we have a team that before last week was in very last in this league, but has kind of dug themselves a little bit out of the hole by winning 2-0 over their last two. BBL Esports. Current record is 2-4, maps are 4-9, rounds are 106 to 162 for a round differential of -56. Current record is 2-4, maps are 5-9, rounds are 155 to 160 for a round differential of -5. So the numbers are getting better. They weren't looking fantastic earlier. They were losing all of their games. They lost 4 in a row, but they've won 2, so maybe they can make a push for playoffs. Like, Vitality's looking weak right now. They have the ability to jump into that spot. They have 3 games left, and it's not super tough opponents. They're facing Koi and then Team Liquid, so that's a tough match. But then they're facing Foot, who have been good, but that's a winnable match for them. I'd be a bit surprised if BBL does end up making playoffs, but Vitality's looking weak, and Giants Gaming is also looking kind of weak, so they can jump in there. It's possible. Whether or not they do anything in said playoffs is up to the imagination currently, but it's possible, and I would like to see it. I like when these kind of underdog teams come out of nowhere, so I'm hoping the best for them. Next up, we have what a lot of people see as the joke of the EMEA League, and that is Karmine Corp. Current record is 2-4, map record is 4-9, round record is 106 to 162 for a round differential of 56. Very bad. In their last 2, though, they are 1-1. They did win against Koi in their last match, so at least that's a win. It's something. They've also won against BBL. They have 3 more games left, but things aren't going to get easier for them. They face Foot next, and then Fnatic, so that's probably a loss there. And then they face Giants, so 2 winnable games out of 3, but they're definitely not winning against Fnatic. I'm willing to say that. So I feel bad for Scream. Scream is a player that I really want to win a tournament one day. It seemed like he was going to do it on Liquid. He got close so many times, but just never happened. So here he sits now on a French roster that hasn't been performing up to expectations and has become kind of a joke. So I feel bad for him. I feel bad for the rest of the players. They have a tough situation right now with Nuzera leaving. I don't know. It's a tough bet for Karmine Corp to make playoffs even. So I feel bad for them. Viva la France. Next up, we have Koi, who sit in 9th place. The team owned by the famous Spanish streamer Ibai has not been performing up to the expectations that were maybe set. Current record is 1-4, map record is 3-8, round differential is -27, winning 112 rounds, losing 139. After a weird and impressive 2-0 win against Na'Vi for their first game of the season, they have lost the rest of them. Having some players that have had decent success in the past, such as Shados, such as Starzo, it just hasn't panned out so far on this roster. They're a team that I think should be better than what their record currently shows, but it's looking really dicey for them now. They face BBL next, so that's a winnable match, but then they face Fnatic, that's not. Then Heretics, who are below them, and then Liquid. So 2 out of 4 games left. Winnable, but that kind of sinks them. I think they're pretty much already out of it with 4 losses. I don't really see them being able to rack up the wins. Like, they have to go perfect pretty much to make it into playoffs even. So looking rough for Koi. Feel bad for them, but it's looking like it's not going to happen. Sorry, boys. And then we have the team that is certainly not making playoffs, and that is Team Heretics. 1-5 record, they're out of it. Even if they win the rest of their games, they're not making playoffs. So kind of given up early in the season here, unfortunately. They've gone 0-2. They've only won against Karmine Corp, so funny win, but didn't end up mattering in the long run for them. They have players that should be better than this. Maybe it's just a problem of roster construction. They have Mixwell, they have Kellogg's, they have Zeke. These are players that have done things in the past. Not to like a super high level, but they're good players and they should be better than what we're seeing, especially because the teams that are right above them, Koi, Carmine Corp, BBL, are not teams that are expected to be very good. Team Heretics, I think there was a little bit more of an expectation, but they haven't lived up to it so far, and feel bad for them, but it's just kind of the way it goes. So in terms of my picks for who is going to make VCT Masters Tokyo, I think Fnatic is pretty much a lock for that. I would be shocked if they didn't make it. Maybe they enter playoffs kind of cocky and get upset. That has happened to them in the past. But overall, I see them just dominating playoffs and making it in easily. For my second pick, it's hard to not pick Navi. Navi being a roster that has had success in the past. Every player on that team has won an international tournament, so it's tough to really count them out. And then for the third spot is an interesting one, and I hate to just pick the top three, but it's hard to say that Liquid isn't going to make it either. They've been performing well. They've only lost 2 games. They have a good roster. They have a lot of good pieces to their lineup. They can do it. It's possible for them. Fortunately for teams of this league, Fnatic did win lock-in tournament, which gives EMEA an extra slot. So who will take that 4th slot? I think it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. We have a lot of teams that are kind of in the mid-range teams, so I think that's going to be the most highly contested battle. And for that, I can see Vitality making it, but they haven't been great, and that might sink them. If they end up being in 6th place for playoffs, that's not going to be good, because then it's single elimination for them for the rest of that bracket, so that's going to be tough. Foot Esports in 4th right now, 3 wins, 2 losses, so that's another team that could make it. Giants Gaming, 3-3. BBL just looking on the outside with 2-4. They could make a comeback and get into playoffs. It's possible. Personally, for me, I'm going to take Giants Gaming as the 4th slot for EMEA for Masters Tokyo. I can see them doing it. I'm going to pick them because I don't want to just pick 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know too much about Foot or Giants. I know a little bit about Vitality. I could see either of those 3 teams making it, but I'm going to pick Giants currently. So that's my 2 cents on which teams I think are going to end up making Masters Tokyo out of the EMEA region. It's a really tough region for a lot of teams, a lot of talent here, quite possibly the best league in the VCT. A lot of people say that, especially people that live in Europe. We'll see if Americas has anything to say about that come Masters Tokyo, and it's going to be a good tournament. That's all I know. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments who you think are going to make VCT Tokyo. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.